Hello. Okay, Cynthia Harrison here, and I'm sitting in the middle of my universe. The big canvas. I'm literally sitting in the middle of it. I'm just going to adjust this camera so that I don't have to hold it. All right. This next process is the directions. So on the Inspired Life at the Artist Salon today, we had Lauren Adorno Weatherford, who is a shaman, and we talked about altars and directions and some of her traditions around the 4 directions and whatnot. And I asked about an inquiry that we could do this week for the canvas, so we decided that we would do the directions. But what I have added to that is I'm in Australia, and I wanted to bring in the traditional culture of this land. So first of all, I'd like to say an acknowledgement to the traditional owners of this land that I'm on at this moment, the Noongar people, and show my respect to their continuing culture and contribution to this area. So I just wanted to start off there. And that, here comes my chickens. Every time I get this canvas out, I kid you not, look, they're coming down the steps. Can you see them? Any more? Every time I get this canvas out, the chickens come running. It's hilarious. It must be the call to the wild. Anyway, the point is, I'm sitting on this landscape, which some might call the canvas. I'm sitting in the center of it, and we're going to mark the directions. Now each direction means something, and I was looking at so Lauren will add a PDF for those that are signed up for the series, but those that aren't can still follow the process, because this is how I work basically, and it's a different country's tradition. I started to think about this country's traditions. The indigenous people, or the custodians of this land, and this land in particular, are Noongar. A little bit up north, Western Australia, we've got Yamaji and Wongai people of those lands. So the west of Australia, there's hundreds of language groups, but these are the main ones that I know of. Anyway, north, east, south, west. How do different places break that up? Are there only 4 directions? It got me looking at the seasons, because I've worked with different cultures and people as an anthropologist and social worker, and I knew that there were 6 seasons in Australia. I know that there are 6 seasons in India, and many other countries have the 4 seasons, and I was like, well, how does that overlay into how the compass or the mapping or the medicine wheel or the however, whatever tradition or lineage you follow or you know of or whatnot. So anyway, I've just been sort of looking at that, because a lot of my work is it's multi-traditional, but a lot of the energy medicine or the biofield medicine I work with it comes from either India or China, and a little bit from Japan. So there's this culmination of cultures, and I just wanted to acknowledge a few that I'm aware of. So I'm going to mark the directions on this canvas, and I'm sitting in the center of it, and what I might start to do is just maybe draw myself in the circle. So another way of looking at this in a more Western perspective would be the psychological aspect, or the Jung understanding of the circle, or the what's it called, the mandala, as a representation of the self and the consciousness. I mean, there's lots of traditions that talk about it, but he seemed to bring it into a grander view through psychology anyway. So whatever way that you look at it, I always try to give you different perspectives to see the same thing, because we're all from different traditions, we're all from different ways of knowing. So I think Janet might be watching, and somebody else, but if somebody's there, what color I've got a few. Should I do the circle in yellow? It's a co-creation, maybe yellow. So these are I just grabbed them because they're easy. They're actually a water color crayon, so I'm just going to draw it on in crayon, and then I'll paint it in. But this is really just starting to get the foundation of what we talked about today. So the traditions that Lauren talked about in the teaching today, or in the sharing, onto the canvas, and then we'll layer more inquiry and more questioning for ourselves. So during the week I'll give you some more questions to ask yourself, for you to go deeper into different aspects of what this is about. So for instance, let's just do, so no one's answered me, so I'm just going to do yellow because the canvas is quite yellow, if you can see. So I'm not sure how I can do this so that you can sort of see what I'm doing. Maybe I can kneel. I'm in my black ninja outfit. This hoodie, it's a hoodie, but it says something like, a woman with what's it say? Never underestimate the power of a woman with painting skills. It's got a big canvas thing on the back, you probably can't see. There you go. And a palette, there you go. All right, here we go with our circle. So I'm left-handed, so I'm going to start here. And I'm just going to do the center of my universe, basically, which represents all of us, because my intention is for the group. And I'm ambidextrous, so I'm now using my right hand. But anyway, there you go. So we have our main circle. So I'm going to change colour. Actually, maybe we could do the, I was going to say the colour of the seasons, but because I've mentioned that there's 6 seasons that I want to work with, and how we divide those up. I don't know if you're interested in that, but I can share how we divide those up. Maybe I can do, maybe I could do, just thinking how to divide them up. So if we have east as spring generally, so we do them in the way that Lauren talks about in her shamanic lineage, and then we'll do it layering the 6 seasons of the Australian or the traditional culture of this land. I think that feels right. Okay, so I've just picked up a colour. It happens to be purple, and I'm going to just mark. How will I do this? I feel like doing another circle. Kookaburra dreaming. Did you hear them? So we talk about the dreaming, and so when we say, you know, turtle dreaming or kookaburra dreaming or snake dreaming or whatever, it's like medicine. So other cultures might say, you know, it's turtle medicine or ant medicine, or, you know, sort of same thing. So the kookaburras just came. So we're doing another circle. Purple, I'm coming out a little bit more. Move my pillow out of the way. And then I'm going to do another circle, because what I'm going to do is try to do the 4 directions closer to the center. Then I'm going to do the 6 directions that fit with the Noongar people's understanding of this land. And then we might even put some code for the times of year, although you know, we're from all over different countries and whatnot, but it still should all work out. So we'll just work on those ways, and then we'll have like this mandala, or these circles, and I'm sitting in the middle to represent for all of us that this is the self, it's the center. And so it could be the psychological self, the center of the psyche. And then as we move out, we're moving out to other aspects of the self. And so if you would like to do your own on paper or in your journal, feel free. I'll take some photos of this later and put it on the Facebook page, The Arts of Healing, for those that would like to, that are following. Hey Lauren, I'm doing, you should be asleep, shouldn't you? All of you American ladies that I can see are watching, shouldn't you be asleep? I'm sitting in the middle of the canvas and I'm doing the directions, and I've just explained so those that come on late can go back and listen. But in Australia, the Noongar people here talk about 6 seasons, and so I'm just working in the different cultural aspects that, you know, I've grown up in and that you've grown up in. Just about to sleep, but thought to check in. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm combining your teaching, which when I look at the PDF that you've sent, I couldn't quite read it, so I have to get you to sort it out tomorrow or whenever, because when I enlarged it I couldn't quite read it, so I just thought we'd get started anyway. I'm sitting in the center of the canvas. I'll put it over there. You can maybe see it better. I'll just be looking at. There you go. Can you see it better now? So I'm sitting in the middle of the canvas. I've done the original circle to represent the self. We've done the second circle where we're going to put in the 6 seasons. Sorry, somebody was just calling me. And then we're going to put in, let's do the next. I picked up green, so we'll do green for the 3rd circle, where we'll maybe add the what was I talking about? The actual months. And then through the week, we'll do some more inquiry and go deeper to do our own work for those that would like to. These are like lipsticks. They're very, very soft, but you add water and they are beautiful. So, I don't know if you can see that. So there you go. So I'll just tell you, as I mark, I'll use orange. And just make a mark while I'm sitting in the middle, and then I'll move and start painting. And so what I understand east to be, and if you're still awake and listening, Lauren, you can chirp in if you like. Otherwise, you can tell me later. But east is birth and spring, spiritual fire. In some traditions, it's eagle. In Australian Indigenous traditions, it's obviously not. So I can... I'll add that, but that's another story. So, and then you'll have different plants at every station. So I'm not sure if that document that you sent, Lauren, has that for the traditions that you've been taught in. But if it has, I'll add. So I'm sitting on this. I've already checked out the area. So this way for me is east. So on this corner, I'm just going to do... I'm going to do a line, in fact, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to do a line right to the middle, and then I'm going to go to south, which is behind me, and I might bring you with me so you can see a bit better. I don't know if you can see. So south would be the time of youth, summer, emotion or emotional aspects, air, and then you would have an animal and a plant. So depending on whether it's Australia, Africa, India, the traditional people of America, they would have different animals and different plants. So we mark the south. And then we're going to go west, which is this corner. There you go, you get a lovely picture of the lawnmower. Or maybe I'll do it that way. Anyway, you don't really need to see, I suppose. And the south, the west is the adult and winter intellectual pursuits. It's water, and again you would have the animal. So we do our west, and then we're going to go around to the north, around my mandala. You getting dizzy? Can't really see. I might just leave you out where you were. There you go. So the north is death, fall. It's a physical earth sort of realm in one tradition. in my sort of energy training, it's completely different again. So again, it's like where you come from and what lineage you're following. So we're just getting a bit of an idea, and we can add, you can let me know maybe where you're from and what your understandings are, and add them if they're different. Or do you know the animals of each section from the country that you're from? So let's put in north. So Diane, do you know the animals to the seasons for the Noongar people? So I know we're not doing seasons, we're adding seasons in a moment, but the 4 directions, and Lauren could tell us the animals that are to the 4 directions of what she taught today. Somebody else could tell us the 4 animals of the Americas, you know. What are the animals to the, you know, African regions? Because they're all different, but we want to represent everybody. So you can add them to the chat or add them on the Facebook, and I'll add a symbol. You could give me the symbol, you could just give me the name, you could give me the color, however you want to represent where you're from or what your lineage is, or, you know, even if you're not born into that lineage, because I'm not indigenous to this land, but I'm honoring the people because I live on this land. This property is on that land, so we're just respecting the original custodians by bringing in the 6 seasons. So it'd be cool if you were here, Diane, because you probably know how to pronounce these better than me. But the 6 seasons, I wrote them down. The 6 seasons for Australia, or the Noongar people. So again, it's very similar. We've got, I think it's pronounced Barak, or Barak. It's the youth or the young, and it's the dry, hot December, January time. So, you know, that would correlate with south by the looks, because south is youth, summer, emotional. So you see, we're just trying to overlap the different understandings, because I'm open to them all. I'm not saying there's one way, and obviously there's not, you know, there's these many ways. How do you say that one? Banura. I think it's pronounced Banura. It's the hottest, and it's the adolescence, and it's February, March. Jira. Do you know these, Diane? Are you still there? Am I saying them correct? So DJERAN is the cooler aspect, and it's the adult. It's around April, May. Then we've got the Makuru, is the cold, wet fertility season. And then we've got, I'm going to spell it, DJILBA. So it'd be Jilba. And they're the warm days. It's a combination. We've got wet and warm. And it's the season of conception. And that's August, September. And then we come back around to Kambarang, which is the dry periods, and that's the birth. So birth is the east for the traditions we were talking about today, the Peruvian and American, and that's October, November. So how are we going to represent those on this canvas? Let me show you. Okay, so we've got 3 circles. We've got our original circle, yellow. We've got our second circle, which is purple. I've forgotten. DJ is jitty jitty. So it's so jitty jitty. So to be Duran, or something like that, and Julba. Anyway, I apologise if I've, horrendously ruined the language, but trying my best to respect, and maybe I can find somebody to help us. Where was I up to? So we got our 4 quadrants and our 3 circles. So what we're going to do is dissect again, and then I'm just going to paint. So let's see, what color? Maybe blue. So blue. So we've got our 4 quadrants, but we need 6 to bring in the Indian and the Australian cultures. Are you following? Okay, so I'm just stepping out of this circle, and I'm going to prop the phone up so that you can sort of see what I'm doing. So what I'll do is bring that into the middle. So let us I'm going to just extend these orange lines, but they're not quite straight, right? So we're just going to muck around, okay? Because we need, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to, and the sections aren't equal, if that makes sense. The sections aren't equal, but I'm just doing a bit of it's about the intention, right? And it's about just representing the information. So if you're, I'll bring you around a bit, if you're doing your own, you don't need to know the ins and outs of everything. It's about placing intention and just having a symbol or something that represents energetically what you want to work with. Okay, so today's session with Lauren was about her traditions and shamanic work, and her objects that she works with, and all of them seem to in some way relate to the 4 directions. Hence, I want to represent the 4 directions, but I also want to represent the land that I'm sitting on, and how the people of this land see the seasons a bit differently. And I want to represent that because I quite enjoy, and I get that when you're looking at it in 6 instead of 4, it's more refined information. And even in Chinese medicine, we talk about the 7 elements. So there's the 5 elements, which are rhythms. They're a rhythm of life. So there's, metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. But then there's 7, there's extra ones added that mean other things, and some you use in your actual healing work or medicine work, and some are for other things. So it's all these overlays of information and meaning. So you don't need to know that, but some of you might want to know that. All right. So where are we up to? So if there's north, so let me just work out. Let me just work out, I need to see things where north, south, east, west would be in relation to this wheel that I've just drawn, because it will be different to what I'm thinking. So winter's west, all right, so winter's west on that one. Summer's south on that one. Entertain yourselves while I do this. Or ask questions. And east is spring. And so north is autumn. Alright. Done. I just needed to map that out in my own head, because I've literally... So what I've just done is I've drawn a mandala. Because sometimes I need to see, you can tell me things, and you know, depending what's going on, but I needed to see it. So these are the 6 seasons, these are the 4 seasons, and these are the 4 directions. So we're going to map all this out, and then we've got the 12 months. So that's what we're doing. Well, that's what I'm doing, but I'm just sharing it for those that might want to watch. Okay, I've got some water, and a brush. And what I'm going to do, I usually stand in the middle, so I'm just going to literally draw in. I'm not sure how much you can see. You can see me in my socks, and I'm on the canvas, and I'm going to paint in the line. But I want to be in the middle, because my intention is that this is almost like, you know, the circle, the center of the self, the mandala. And now we have the crows. So we had the kookaburra earlier, now we've got the crows come in, or the ravens. I can't see, so I don't know if you can see out the back there. The raven sitting on the fence, just having a sticky beak. Know what I'm doing. The kookaburras have had a laugh at what I'm doing. So, painting myself into a circle, that's what I'm doing. And here come the cockatoos. Can you hear them? You will in a minute. Just call me the bird lady. Listen. Can you hear them yet? They're coming. The black cockatoos. There they are, flying. Flying over my place. They weren't that noisy. Okay, so who will show up next? Who is going to show up? We've got some doves here. We've had the canvas came out, we had the chickens and the roosters to show up. we're painting and the kookaburras show up, and then we had the raven, and then we had the cockatoos. So as we keep going deeper, let's see who else shows up. So I've done the original circle, which represents to me the self. And then we're going to do the next one around, which is this purple. I don't know if you can see that. Might be better if I actually hold the phone so you can see me painting rather than, I'm not sure what you can see, if you can see me painting or not. I'll bring you over here so you might be able to see the painting. Okay, so can you see that? I'm not sure. I'm going to try and turn it around. There we go. Alright. Now you're going to have a bird's eye view rather than looking at me. Okay, so painting this. Okay, so now we've got the doves coming. Look at all the doves. I told you, there'd be more birds. Doves and pigeons. Still have the cockatoos around. So here we go with our purple. Which is going to hold an aspect of the 6 seasons. Okay, now I'm going to do the next layer, which is going to sort of hold the months, I suppose. You know, the 12 months. But again, that's only in particular traditions, and you know, it's like time and what calendar you follow. And believe me, there's more than one. Okay. So, doing this other line. So we've got all these circles, sections, segments, and as we go through this week, I'll be asking you if you want to participate. Inquiries around, I suppose, each one, which is can you see? These sections. Okay. So now I'm going to section. This a bit differently. Okay. So the blue was the 6 and the orange was the 4. So what I'm going to do with my intention, because it's not quite straight and meeting, I'm going to bring it in. That's my intention, merging those two. It's almost like merging the two traditions, or the few traditions and understandings into one way of knowing that's understood by all of those that involved. So we've got the line of the 4, the line of so that's the west line. It's a bit wonky, but this, just remember, it's underpainting. So I don't follow, I follow what I feel, and I'm feeling south is next. So now we're going to join south. Join the south together. This aspect of time and space. So it's just alluding to a meeting in there. So I'm just going to make it be what it showing me. Okay. And we're back to one of the 6, which is blue. We'll just give that a bit of energy. And now we're back around to east. So we have the blue line meeting the blue line of the 6 seasons meeting the orange line of the 4 season. Makes sense in my world. Okay, so this will give us some refinement to the questions we ask of ourselves later in the week, how this shows up in our world. And now we're at north, and we're going to pick up the orange of the north direction. And bring it down into the blue of the 6th season. Does it make sense? Let's have a look at what we got. I'll take you back here. Let's see what we're looking at. Okay, so I've sort of got this grid with the definite orange 4 sections. You know what it looks like to me? Straight up, I see heaven and earth, or the grid of the human system. So, human system has these triangles. One represents, well, you know, depends whether it's a science version of it or not, but it's the polarity, it's the positive and negative, or the mother and the father, or the heaven and the earth, or the fire and the water. Again, all these different ways of understanding the same symbol. So that's sort of what I'm about. I suppose that's the, you know, I love myth and legend and metaphor and culture and how and story. So I never see one way of doing anything. It's so multi-dimensional, and I'm really happy with how we sort of muddled through that, and it's come out into something that I recognise as very powerful. And interestingly enough, there's a line, quite a solid blue line in the middle, whether you look at it that way, or this way. And the process of ascension or evolution is that those 2 triangles meet and start to, you know, in science or in some methods of science, they say that these 2 tips of the points of You know, you can see them as the pine cone, or the points of the triangles when they touch. There's a connection that produces energy. And as that moves in, those triangles in some traditions become the Merkaba, the light vehicle that we travel. And so anyway, there's numerous ways of going into this. So I don't know who's there, but if you following me, maybe say hi or give me a heart or a thumbs up or a... We should have a I'm confused button or I don't know what you're talking about button. Alright, so I might leave it there because we've been going a while and I've talked a lot, and I might just start adding bits and pieces that resonate for me, and then I'll ask you through the week. I'll place some questions so that you can add your intentions and what's meaningful to you to this. I'll then paint it on for you, and we'll continue our evolution together, our transformation through this creative process. But that's a pretty cool canvas already, if I do say so myself. But it'd be more spectacular when I have more of your information on there, because as we're looking at the information or data of different peoples, so the Australian First People, the American, the African, all the traditional cultures that we tend to take their information rather than just taking it. Let's celebrate it and respect it and say where it's coming from. When we know, we say. Okay, so there you go. So those of you who popped in to say hello, thank you very much. And if you like this video and you think someone you know might enjoy it, you can share it. Everything that I do that's public, feel free to share. I do it literally to share. So, alright, I'm going to keep going and I'll check in. I'll show you some photos later. Ciao.